On this trip, we're heading off in search of the southern bluefin tuna. There was myself, Braden, Nick, and Braden's mate Duncan, who I hadn't met before. We're going to be heading off for a couple of days out of Milford Sound. From what I understand, these bluefin tuna migrate from somewhere in the south of Australia there, and out of the Indian Ocean, and come down the west coast of New Zealand there, and we're targeting them out of Milford Sound. We decided to head in the night before, and she was all go at about 4:30 in the morning, and it was a bit of a race on between us and maybe up to 50 other boats that were heading out in search of the bluefin tuna. We're all pretty fizzed up as we got out of the sound. We just had to get some lures in the water before getting rid of the cray pots that we had on board. By the time we got out, it was a bit cloudy and overcast, but the weather conditions were pretty good. There was a wee bit of slop out there, but it wasn't too bad, and we sealed in to do some trolling. We thought we'd chuck a mixed spread out, and we got a couple of rapalas out the back and a couple of skirted lures, and started heading off to find some foam lines and some water current, temperature differences, and troll there. It didn't take too long, and we had a double hookup, with Nick trying to wind one in and Braden trying to wind the other one in. She was all go there for a bit, and it was pretty cool. Good on you. Put that in neutral. Neutral, you're good. A bit of double hookup. I don't think I've got anything. Bit of chaos.
Tom here. Sorry. Is she a good fish?
Good bluey? Don't fuck this up. Oh yes! Get him?
Yeah. Oh, fucking great. Tail wrap.
Grab him. Just yoink his tail. Get him in the boat. Oh yeah. Lift it up, Braden, just for a bit of a tail lift. We were back off trolling again, and I thought it was about time I should probably get my drone out, as there seemed to be a bit of bird action around, and it didn't take long while the drone was up in the air to get a double hook up again. This time we had a couple more on the lines. Sadly, Nick's one managed to get away again, but there's a bit of drama between old Duncan. When he was fighting his fish, halfway through he had to stop for a bit of a spew and hand the rod over for someone else to wind it in, which was a bit of a shame for him. After Duncan was done spewing, which took a while, and a couple other people gave him a hand to try and get the fish in, we got the fish in, and we carried on trolling. Didn't take too long, and we had another double hookup. The radio was running hot. It sounded like pretty much everyone was catching something, whether it be albacore or tuna, but it just sounded like everyone was into it. Plenty of tuna out and about, and it was good fun.
Have you got anything on board yet? Just one, Albie. Where are you at now? Oh, we're just going into Poison Bay to have lunch.
Drag him in, Nick. Drag him in.
Have you got one or two, bros? We're limited. One each. rope or something. We might pull in our stay for lunch.
Watch your lines there, fucking.
Good as we're just down probably a couple k's out from port on the deck. We'll just make a plan from here. I can show you where they are.
This was Nick's first time out big game fishing, and he sort of learned a pretty valuable lesson here about maybe putting the rod back into the rod holder, as this tuna just took off with it. It didn't even sit around on the surface. As you can see the bubble trail, it just went straight down and gone. Bit of a bugger. I had to put a voiceover on because I was laughing like a hyena, but it was just a bit of a laugh, and they're still making rods, so no one was too really bothered really, but a bit of a laugh. It's a massive ass one. Fuck, that's a goodie. Oh, that is a beast. Try hold him up for the camera. Like, that is a ripper. Fuck. Next up, we decided to pull into one of the bays where it was a bit more sheltered and tuck into a bit of lunch and drop the anchor. We thought we might as well cut the heads and tails, get the guts out of these fish and get them on ice, just to keep them as good as we can. Braden had somehow convinced Duncan to try some tuna heart, which I don't think was really the greatest idea, and it didn't taste that good by all accounts. And it was time to chuck a bit of fuel back in the boat and get back out on the water. So we went back out after a sausage and putting some fuel in the boat, and a bit of flame there beside the fuel going in, probably not the greatest idea. We were just out trolling in the freshwater, which was quite brown from all the rain that's been happening. We started to catch a few albacore. Everyone else on the radio seemed to be catching quite a few, unless it was their code word for tuna. But everyone was saying they'd catch quite a few albacore, but we hadn't actually caught many, and as we're trolling back out we picked a few up and they were all go. After that we decided it's probably time to go have a bit of a jig for a kingfish, so we went and found a bit of a seamount down the coast there, and looked like there was a bit of sign on the sounder, and got into jigging for some kingies. After a couple of minutes of jigging, Nick had hooked up into something. He's never really fought a kingfish before, and was putting up a pretty good fight, dragging him around a bit and all the rest, but unfortunately after fighting it for a while it managed to get off, and we didn't actually manage to hook any more kingfish ourselves, which was a bit of a bummer. They were probably there, we could sort of see them on the sounder, but we're just not quite expert enough on putting the boat right on top of them, and just got sick of jigging for them. Finally it was my turn to have a go at one of these fish, and got to wind one in myself. It was quite a good bluefin tuna, and there's another one on the Rapala I think, and that took us up to 4 bluefin tunas. So we had our limited tuna, carried on trolling around and managed to catch a couple more of these albacores, which were coming in on the rapalas as well. And we just carried on trolling on our way home, and we just kept hooking up bluefin tuna most of the way home, and pulled into one of the sounds for a bit of a photo session. Pretty much every half an hour or so something happened, and it was pretty exciting, and just let the other fish go. Put it back on the fish. Double hook up.
Don't even go up and down. Oh, holy fuck.
What is it? It's yanking eel and line. Spot.
That same spot again?
Nah, it's just...
Maybe you go in there. Is it? It's still going. Holy fuck.
Fuck, these could be like a couple of big dogs. Nick's had to sub out. You've like wound a few kingies in as well, like, yeah. Nick had a guts full of fighting one of these fish and handed the rod off to Braden. And this fish also wore Braden out pretty good, and he'd looked like he'd had an absolute guts full by the time he'd finished fighting it as well. It was a pretty nice bluefin tuna, all the same. That's the forearm. Yeah, fuck, I was feeling it myself, I grabbed the fuck. It was time to head back in, and we just gave up trolling actually, and went back and picked up our crayfish pots that were unbaited, baited them up with albacore and set them for overnight. And we're just heading back into Milford Sound just as the sun was going down. Boat in absolute state, and just cruised back in to the sound just as the sun was sort of going down, and it was pretty cool. And we're back out the next morning after a good sleep. Back out to check the pots. The Princess Hamilton was there as we were making our way out the next morning. We weren't up quite as early the next morning, and followed a couple other boats out. One of the tourism boats, and there's quite a few dolphins jumping on that. Then it was time to go pull up our pots. We were pretty excited about that, to see what we'd got in there. And we headed out the front to pull our pots. Braden had selected this spot to chuck the pot, and we pulled in beside it and started to haul it up. And there was plenty of orange stuff in the bottom of it, which we were pretty excited about. And plenty of crayfish in the first pot. And we were going to head off to pick up the pot, which I chose where to put that one, and see if we'd got some in that. Pulling up the second pot, there wasn't quite as many crayfish in the second one, but there's still a few in there, and we're pretty happy, and made our way back into the sound to cook up a feed for breakfast and tally up a few crayfish. Braden was the man on the measuring stick, checking that the crays were all the right size, and we got quite a few, which we're quite happy about. And after we done that, had a good breakfast, had a drink, and it was time to head home, where Braden was to give some of this tuna flaps a good go in his smoker.